Alrighty, good afternoon. Welcome back. I'm Jamie,
I am dumb.
and this is the cutting room floor. And if you like irony, today's going to be full of irony because we're going to talk about silent films.
Yes.
So three in particular, three probably the best examples of early to mid 20s silent films from the three greats: Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton. We're going to talk about Safety Last from 1923, so that obviously will not be a question.
hmm
The Gold Rush from 1925, not going to be a question either. And The General, who does not try to sell you insurance, from also 1925.
All right. All right, man.
So,
Well, I'll say this. My experience with silent films is low. I've only seen a few. My favorite being Metropolis, Fritz Lang
great
film.
film, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And it's a longer one. It's definitely different than the silent films that were coming out from America for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I was like, it was German Expressionist, so it was very different. But so my experience with American silent films is quite limited, although I have seen a good amount of film. I still have lots on my list that I want to watch. I will say, for the most part, I enjoyed these. I really, really liked Safety Last. I thought it was very funny, and I thought the story was, for how simple it was, it really worked for what was going on. And the one thing I can say about all three of these films is I really appreciate the craftsmanship of the filmmaking, with from the actors doing all these stunts and the way they got the explosions. Like in general, there's some crazy explosions at the end that look pretty legit. There's a part where he shoots a cannon in the air and it drops
Yes,
down.
yeah.
And I was really impressed with how they got that to look. And some of those train action sequences were insane. So I will say I have a newfound respect for them, even though they're not necessarily my speed, but I definitely
Trains, you mean?
appreciate them. Yeah, definitely.
Trains are
my
not your speed.
not at all. But I definitely appreciated them, and I'm definitely gonna dive into some more. So let's start with
Well, do you mind if I do a little bit of background?
yeah, you do
quick?
your thing.
Okay, because just a couple minutes, like you made a good point because I think American films at the time were not as good, let's say, artistically as like German expressionist films,
Mhm.
like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari
Yeah,
or
classic.
Nosferatu.
Uh-huh.
You know, like those films, and obviously Metropolis and whatever else Fritz Lang was doing.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
I mean, you had like D.W. Griffiths who did Birth of a Nation, I think, in
Mhm.
1915,
Yeah.
and Cecil B. DeMille also did a version of the Ten Commandments in the 20s,
Uh-huh.
his first one.
I
So,
was looking at both
so
of those films for a specific reason. We'll get in that in the intermission.
okay, and but so we had so what we're gonna look at is specifically like American comedies, even though Charlie Chaplin is British.
Mm-hmm.
He became famous
he's like
in America.
Hitchcock, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all your money and all your roots are laid in America.
Yeah, so that's why he is bi-coastal. Let's say
Mhm,
so he's
yeah.
bi. That's what we're gonna say. Charlie Chaplin was bi.
Yep.
So
Bye.
so we're gonna look at these comedies because we had talked briefly. I think at the end of last week. I don't remember if it was when we were recording when we were talking, but about comedies, and I think this is a good way to start to build up to where we might end up going with comedies.
Mhm.
And so these three individuals, Chaplin was born in 1889, Harold Lloyd 1893, and Buster Keaton 1895. So by the time the teens came and films started to take off, that's when they found their way on screen somehow. And all three actually started working with Roscoe Arbuckle, better known as Fatty Arbuckle. Fatty, yeah, the guy who had his career ruined from rumors and innuendo because a woman died at a party that he had, and everyone said that it was because he like laid on top of her because of his weight, and unfortunately the papers published rumor as like truth back then. So it literally ruined.
Was the thing.
Yeah,
man,
yeah. It literally ruined his career.
Dang.
So And that was in the early 20s. So these guys throughout the teens had worked with him off and on, and then gone to do their own thing. And after, his trial and all that, like that's when Buster Keaton started to take off, because he actually, Fatty Arbuckle showed Buster Keaton everything he knew about filmmaking.
Wow.
And some of the things in these films, or in some of their films, I believe Fatty Arbuckle did first years before, including that incredible roll dance.
Wow.
The dance with the rolls, although Chaplin's was better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Chaplin's was incredible. But Fatty Arbuckle did it
rolls?
first. Yeah, those are rolls.
Potatoes.
No, because he even says...
I haven't put that part down in my notes.
Yeah, it's... because in the 25 version, he says, "Give me these rolls."
Okay.
Yeah, he specifically says that they're rolls.
Okay. I thought
They do look like potatoes. They do.
Literally said,
I think he burnt the rolls.
I put potato dance.
Yeah, I believe he actually burnt the rolls.
Okay.
So
they were dark, man.
They were very dark. So all three of these men started out with like one reelers, which are the short comedy films they would show before features. Mm-hmm. And so these obviously are later in the 20s, because they started those in the teens. So they were doing their own features at this point. So Harold Lloyd, by 1923, he'd been doing movies for probably a decade.
Yeah. If
not longer. So this is a guy at the top of his game, really, like 10 years of experience under his belt. And he does a film, Safety Last, that I think is like... I put at the peak of his abilities, which I just said. Mm-hmm. I believe this is kind of like a prototype sitcom.
Yeah.
Because it's like a workplace comedy, and it really only takes place in maybe like three locations.
I was going to say really 3 locations.
Yeah, that's it. But it's brilliant the way that everything ties together, and the boy is trying to impress the girl.
Spending all his little money.
Yeah, and oh my God. And like that scene when he buys, it might be when he buys the chain for the
pendant
he got, and he's looking at the
lunch, and
the lunch.
Food's disappearing.
It's disappearing.
Yeah,
it's disappearing.
I was like,
with all the money that he's... Yes, and then he just tightens his belt and like walks away.
So I was like, yo, so I put that down in my notes too. That was one of my favorite scenes. So let's go ahead and get into Safety Last.
Okay.
Then. So Safety Last. It's a simple story, and I think the simplicity of this film is what made it work so well. Because it's a guy, he goes to the big city, he tells his girl, he leaves his girl behind, he tells her, "I'm going to make a bunch of money, I'm going to come back and get you and take care of you." And when he gets there, of course, life is never what you think it's going to be when you get to the big city. So he's working at like a fabric department store type deal.
Yeah, the fabric section of the
fabric
department store.
section of the department store.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. The ladies that come in, and there's a scene when there's like, I don't know if they were having a sale or something, but there was a ton of chicks in there, and they're going insane. And he's like tricking them to give. There's a party, he tricks them all. He tells them all there's some money on the floor.
Who dropped that $50 bill?
And they all drop down so he can give the one lady her fabric. It was great.
Yeah,
there's some really good scenes in it. But one thing I like about this film is, it's quite thematically rich for how simple the story is.
Yeah.
And how goofy it all is, really. It's a love story. It's a story about sacrifice. It's a story about hard work, the American dream.
Yeah.
It's a story about, how far one is willing to go to get what they want. It's a story about putting on false impressions. There's a lot of themes in this story that's only like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's no words in it.
No.
You got the little cards. The what do they call them?
I want to say title cards.
Title cards. That's what it is. Yeah, the title cards. So you got that narrating the story, and it flows really, really well. And you get some insane building climbing scenes.
Yes.
It was 2 different dudes, right? Because the first time, the guy running from the cop.
Yeah, it's his roommate.
All right, yeah.
And that's where he gets the idea, because he sees his roommate climbing a building, running from this cop. Mm-hmm. And he gets the idea because his boss was like, "I'll give $1,000 to anybody who can get people into the store." And he's like, hey, I need the money for the girl. Like, I'll have my friend climb this building. And then, of course, it goes wrong because the cop is there. And he recognizes the guy.
Recognizes him. And they're like, yeah, well, we can switch clothes and, like, he won't notice, but that doesn't work.
The greatest part, I think, of the movie is, so the boy whose name, you see it written down, is actually Harold Lloyd.
It's Harold Lloyd.
Yeah. His friend is like, all right, you'll have to go up to one floor until I ditch the cop. And every floor he tells him the same thing.
Like, I still gotta ditch the cop.
Just one more floor until I ditch the cop.
The funny thing about that part is, so the first time he said it, I was like, he is never ditching the cop. I knew it right from there. I was like, he's never gonna ditch the cop, and this man's gonna have to climb this whole building by himself. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
And just the stunt work that was done was insane because it looks so real. It looks so real. I was very impressed at how well they made the city look and how well they really made it look like this dude was climbing this building with no harness, no nothing, just free soloing. And I'm like,
and with some fingers missing on his one hand.
Yeah, and I was just gonna bring that up. I'm like, and then I find out the dude, half his hand's gone. So I'm like, wow, incredible. I'm really impressed. I was very impressed with him. So I did add a few more of his films to my list of things to watch because I'm interested to see more what he's got brewing, and I'm definitely gonna watch some more Charlie Chaps. I still gotta watch The Circus. I still gotta watch The Kid. And,
The Kid is really good.
Some of the like real crazy ones.
Have you ever seen the '60s TV show The Addams Family?
Yeah, I've seen some episodes, but I didn't watch a lot of it.
Uncle Fester in that show was the kid in The Kid. That's the first thing he ever did.
Wow.
Grew up to be Uncle Fester.
Had a career.
Yeah. Jackie Coogan. Yeah. Incredible.
That.
So, I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, but go ahead. Tell them what you want.
All right. So, the crazy part is, like, a lot of things happen in this film that are important to the story, but the main thing is, and the thing everyone remembers is him climbing the building. And so that's like the most important part of the story.
It is. And it's the finale third act.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was like a, action blockbuster, this would be the finale.
Yes. Yeah. And I realized as I was watching it, I ended up watching this movie twice in the past week because I realized something when I was watching it the first time and I'm like, I don't have my notebook with me. The second time, like when he's climbing the building, it's almost like the labors of Hercules.
Yeah.
Because he keeps running into, like, the ground floor, the cop is there. He's like the thing he's fighting against on the ground floor because he wants his friend to do it, but the cop is there, so he has to do it. And then the awning also that he hits the cop with. So that was funny. Yeah, so it's like the cop and then the awning that he hits the cop with. And then on the first floor, those kids, when he gets there, those kids spill like peanut crumbs or whatever on him, and then all the birds attack him.
The birds, and he takes his hat off. Yeah, and I'm like, this dude's gonna fall and die. That was freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
and then he even shakes the peanuts off, and the birds still won't leave him alone.
Yeah, so he has to pop the peanut bag to get him to leave. And you notice the music changes to almost sound Hitchcockian when the birds are there.
It does, yes. And it's like, Hitchcock was probably watching that.
Yeah,
and thinking about what you just said with the like gauntlet style climbing the floors, that's a blueprint for a ton of video games, like and just action movies in general.
Gesundheit.
But thank you. But if you think about it, there's so many films where you got to go up the levels. I mean, just look at like Die Hard or Hard Boiled or something like that. That's kind of a blueprint for it because he did run into trouble every time he hit the next level. And it's a simple concept, but it works, and it's worked for so long.
Yeah.
And it's never probably not going to work.
Yeah, because the second floor, then like the net from Sporting Goods falls on him. He has to get out of this net. And then the third floor, there's an old woman lecturing him. Yeah. She's like, you know you're going to fall and hurt yourself. Yep. And he's like, I hate to say this, but he's like, no shit. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm doing this because my friend and every floor also is his friend. Like, just one more floor until I ditch the cop.
Ditching this cop.
So they do show the friend running from the cop the whole time, also
until he gets to the freaking roof.
Yeah, and then like the fourth floor is like the wood plank from those painters ends up coming out.
Yes. And it knocks him back. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, he would die from this. This would be the end.
Yeah.
This would be the end.
And then the 5th floor, he finally gets to the clock, the famous scene where he's hanging from the clock.
Hey.
And then there's like the flagpole, and then the friend gets the rope down to him.
Yeah, which
that's a whole other mess though too.
Like, that was for as messy as that should have been. Yeah, it was quite clean.
It was
in its execution.
It was
because most people, even filmmakers now, would make something like that fall all the way apart.
Oh yeah,
and it would get messy and ugly. That stayed trim and tidy. The choreography was just crisp, especially like the board coming out the window. I was just like, man, it was just so smooth, and the editing on these things. I'm just like, I know they cut up the film and all that, but I'm like, how do you edit this crap back in the day? They weren't using computers and stuff like that. So like, I respect them editors so much more.
And that's the amazing thing, because then, I mean, we could talk about some of the great editing in when we get to the Gold Rush. And but yeah, like when he gets to the top, then he finally gets to the top. There's a couple of other things he runs into on the way, because there's a couple more floors after the clock. But yeah, then he gets stuck in that rope and he's swinging. He's literally swinging. And then he swings up and just stands there. Like, I don't know how he does it.
It was guys from like the talent level was extraordinary.
Yes.
It was all parties involved.
So basically, yeah. So he makes it to the top. His girl is there.
Yep.
So obviously it's a happily ever after, because he knows he's going to get the money.
Yep.
So he either can stop lying to her because he finally has money, or he has to continue to lie to her as if he still works there, even though he has the money.
Let's just talk about some of his lies real quick.
Oh,
the dude, she comes to the city because her mom is like, you can't let a good man like that wait. For some reason, I just envisioned this woman with like a German accent.
Probably German or Yiddish. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know
why. I just felt like this woman would have been from Europe. She tells her to basically go chase after him because he shouldn't be alone with all this money he doesn't have. But and so she just pulls up on him, and he's like, holy, and he's like, you know, he's a grunt man. He's at the low man on the totem pole of this job. And she's thinking he's got an office and he's calling the shots. So he's acting like he's calling the shots in front of her. And everybody around him is like, dude, you're acting dumb. And the boss is calling him. And he's acting like, you know, he's the boss. He convinces her the boss's office is his. He even takes her inside. It gets really wild.
It does. And this is all before the climb.
Yeah, this is all before the
setup.
That's when, like, I gotta say, he packed a lot of stuff into a small runtime, and it paced really well. It was quite enjoyable of a film. I think it's if someone was like, Dom, give me a silent film to start with, this would be one I would say this is a good starter silent film, because I think it's fun anyway. It's an easy story to get into. It's funny start to finish. Like when he jumps on the truck instead of the train at the very beginning.
Yes.
That's silly. And the black lady chases him, and it's funny.
And then he pretends to be passed out to get a ride in an ambulance.
To get a ride,
so he can get to work on time.
And then when it gets close, he grabs the little microphone and he's like, "Hey, let me off at this next corner." That was hilarious. But it was smart and clever. That was clever writing. To me, this writing here definitely laid a lot of foundation for stuff that was to come, especially like screwball comedies coming in the 30s when talkies got popping. Like, you wouldn't have films like It Happened One Night and His Girl Friday and stuff like that without these starter silent films, because they all had a romance in the background.
Yeah.
And the romance all became the forefront leading into the finale of each three of these films. And they all deal with someone lying to a female.
Yeah, because they feel they have to.
They feel they have to. And it's insane to show. I think it just shows you the difference in romance in the times, because back then men were really wanted to be gentlemen, and men were really, doted on to be provider types and the head of the household and someone who needs to be able to take charge in order to impress a lady. That was very big back then. If you couldn't do that, you probably weren't gonna get the pick of the litter. Things are different now where women make their own money. They go out and make tons of money, man. They go crazy. So it's not like that anymore. Women want to work. They don't want to be in the house like they used to. So it's different now. But back then, chicks were looking for a dude to take them from their father's home and provide the same comfort they had there, just in a marriage setting. And so I think a lot of these guys felt like, bro, I'm not going to get this girl in my dreams if I don't at least, portray the illusion that I have this stuff.
Yes.
So that is... all these films, they are comedies, but they're rom-coms at the end of the day. They're the blueprint for a rom-com. From, all the stuff you guys like now, the rom-coms you like now. Modern rom-coms aren't my thing. I like the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s ones are great, but I can't get too into many of the new ones. So, but all those films you guys like, they all started here.
Yes.
So
and out of the three, I think Safety Last had the funniest title card. So
yeah, for sure.
So like the punchlines were like in what they had them saying. Also, instead of just the visuals, it like worked symbiotically.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
It was real clever writing on that the part of Safety Last. I think the Gold Rush was. I think all three of them were very well written.
Yeah.
I just think the execution on Safety Last worked the best. But they're all good stories. And because the most, original and interesting story of them all would probably be The General. But I think The General suffered from lack of execution the most of the three.
The General was based on a true story.
Really?
Yes. Believe it or not, yes.
Some dude just kind of faking his way.
Well, it was something about like that train incident actually happened. So it's like, I guess like a fictionalized version of a real incident, kind of like Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah, the movie.
Okay.
Obviously the movie.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
obviously.
I mean,
yeah,
it's a romance movie.
Yeah.
It takes place.
It's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com.
Yeah, but you had a sinking feeling that it was going to be a rom-com. That's what it was.
I mean,
yeah.
If we're talking rom-coms, it would be one of the better ones, I guess. Don't get me wrong, Titanic, a good movie. I've seen it a lot, but it's overrated. But it is good, and I'm glad it exists. It needed to exist because it definitely was like the next step after probably E.T., I would say, to propel blockbusters, maybe Jurassic Park.
You know what? It's really the first non-action adventure blockbuster. Because even E.T. is more of an adventure. Yeah.
For sure. It definitely...
You're right.
It took blockbusters to the next level as far as you could have an epic, crazy blockbuster popcorn flick that wasn't action, wasn't people getting killed, wasn't heroes or anything.
Actually, a lot of people got killed.
Oh, yeah.
So they did.
People died.
Yeah.
They didn't get killed.
Well, that's true. You're right. There is a difference. You're right.
They weren't murdered.
Yeah. But it wasn't like John McClane was on the Titanic.
It wasn't on the Titanic.
Well, actually, since it's a boat, it would be Steven Seagal. So, the original Under Siege.
Yes. Oh, so that was when he was making good flicks. But anyways, go ahead.
Oh, so speaking of overrated, what would you rate Safety Last?
Oh, that gets an A. That gets an A for sure. That's an easy A, maybe even an A plus. Actually, I'm gonna give it an A plus because movies like that are why we love films today. Yeah. We needed those films. Safety Last is a film that I think I can see why you picked it and why it pushed us forward. And I thought it was a great watch. I enjoyed it. I think it's a film anybody could get into, all ages.
100 years old.
That's what I was going to say.
April 1st. It was the 100th anniversary.
Year. Yeah, I was like, it's 100 years old. Holds up super well. Holds up better than Morbius. Morbius feels that old.
Wow.
Morbius feels like it came out in 1923.
It always goes back to Morbius. It
does. That's the punch. That's the punch and bag movie of the last 2 years. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and it will be for a little bit probably
until Craven or
Oh,
Madam
that's
Web
gonna
or
be
whatever.
a punching bag.
Yeah, or whatever Spider-Man adjacent movies are going to come out later.
Yeah, we're gonna get some punching bag stuff. But Morbius is it for now, and I'm sorry. Sorry, Jared Leto. You played your part well.
He deserved better.
Yeah, he
Let's put it
definitely
that
did,
way. He
man.
deserved better.
Especially because I just watched Requiem for a Dream the other day, and I'm like, man, he's such a good actor.
He is.
I can't believe he's in Morbius. But Ellen Burstyn in that movie. Oh, you haven't seen? You gotta get on your Aronofsky, man.
Yeah, look, Ellen Burstyn is a great actress. Wasn't
great.
she in The Exorcist?
Yep.
And Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore?
Alice Doesn't Live Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real good one. And Scorsese loved working with her.
Yeah.
They even though they butted heads a lot. But she's like, hey, you got me an Oscar. No, I'm out. I like that.
We might have to talk about that movie. There's a lot of really good things in that film, especially how it begins. It's kind of like it's definitely like the beginning of The Wizard of Oz, but that's for another time.
Oh yeah, because that's
we
can definitely we can get into that. But
so
you got to get on your Aronofsky. But
I do.
Anywho, I still can't believe you didn't watch The Whale, man. At least just for Brendan Fraser.
I should, because I do love him.
You gotta watch
The
Whale. It's short, bro. It's like an hour and a half.
Man.
That's the beauty. Aronofsky's movies are all short. They're like Requiem for a Dream's an hour and a half. Like The Fountain's an hour and a half.
He did Pi, didn't he?
He did Pi. That's
the
like
symbol,
an hour and 20.
The symbol
yeah,
Pi.
The symbol Pi. P-I.
Yeah.
He did like that movie's like an hour and 20. All his film, the rest was like hour 40.
Okay.
They're all short. They're all like, for the most part, under 2 hours. You gotta watch Mother. Like
Jennifer Lawrence,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Okay.
Like, and not just because she, is great to watch, but it's a good film.
She has this mystique about her.
Yes, she does. I don't care if she's blue, white, tan. I don't care what hair color. She's an angel. But yeah, so anyways, back into what we're talking about. Sorry.
The Gold Rush or the General? Which one?
Well, we'll go the Gold Rush. We'll go in order, right? Because are we doing the 25 version or are we doing the 40 or 40s version?
Believe it or not, I think we can do both because they are the same film.
We'll weave in. Yeah. All right, so Gold Rush.
So what did you think of the Gold Rush?
So the Gold Rush, I thought it picked up nicely in the third act, but I will say I was a little like, what am I watching? And about the first 10 minutes, I was kind of confused for a minute, but then once I realized what was going on, I thought it was decent. One thing I liked, what was his name? John?
Big Jim?
His name? Big Jim. Big Jim. I was like, I got him in my notes.
Yeah, Big Jim. Big Jim McKay.
For him. Yeah. So all the scenes in the cabin with Jim and Charlie are freaking great.
Especially when they're hungry.
That did have me laughing when he's sitting there starving and he's like, you look like a chicken. And he's like ready to kill him.
And he pictures him like a chicken.
As a chicken, yeah. Like, this is funny. But when he cooks the shoe, bro, and he boils the shoe and he splits it up and he gets the top, Jim gets the top part and he gets the sole with the nails coming out. And I'm like,
and the laces.
Really? Yeah.
He also does the laces because he eats them like spaghetti.
Did they really make shoes with nails like that back in the day?
I'm sure they did, or they wouldn't have had it.
They did. Yeah,
they would have had to.
This is crazy, man. Imagine when them nails pop out.
That's what a cobbler was for, I think.
You're right.
Yeah, because we don't have cobblers anymore.
We don't.
Unless it's a dessert. But
a little peach cobbler is good,
Now if you find nails in it, you know why.
Yes.
The cobbler was making cobbler.
And hopefully I do, then I can sue the restaurant and retire.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just kidding.
Because there's that one part with the nail. The one nail's bent, and it looks like he's holding it like he wants Jim to break the wishbone.
He does, yes. Yes. That's what I was like. That's what I was like, bro. Is he thinking Saint Thanksgiving or whatever?
Yeah. Because it was Thanksgiving. That was their Thanksgiving meal.
I didn't realize that's what Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't remember in the 1942 version. I think he narrates it in passing, but in the 25 version, it actually says a Thanksgiving dinner.
I didn't remember him saying it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was Thanksgiving.
But when he cuts the shoe, why does it cut almost like meat though? Like it cuts quite clean.
I guess because
he boiled it.
Probably, and if you think about it, like the top of it would have been leather, and the bottom could have been not rubber, but something like that, just sturdy.
Yeah,
So maybe that's why. And also, it probably wasn't a real shoe.
It wasn't.
Yeah, but because he eats a candle at one point too.
it's just funny how he cuts it.
Yeah.
But then he's like, oh, I'm still hungry. He's like, you want me to make another shoe?
And he's like, no, not that. God. Anything but that.
I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, Big Jim is an interesting character.
He is. I mean, he's the homie though.
Yeah, he is.
Especially at the end, he comes through clutch.
Yeah.
But this film also had the at the forefront is still a romance.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he wants to make money, he wants to get rich, but to me, I felt he was far more interested in Georgia than
he had Georgia on his mind.
Georgia was on his mind. She was a Georgia peach.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's hanging out with her and her little friends. And
they're making fun of him
because he's a tramp. They're making fun of him because he is the tramp.
Yeah.
But they come to his crib.
But back then, a tramp was a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just realized, I'm like, wait a second.
Listen, if we're talking about Charlie Chaplin and we say the tramp,
yeah.
I haven't even seen that many of his movies, and I even know that's like, that's
his iconic
he's
character.
A tramp, you know. Yeah. He plays those types of characters all the time. You know, that's his spiel. But you know, they come to his house, the girls come to his house, and you know, they have dinner, and you know, we gotta talk about the roll dance, which I thought it was potatoes. Because they look kind of like you said earlier, I think that you burnt the rolls.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, I thought that they looked like uncooked potatoes or like a baked potato that without the anything on it.
Yeah.
So he takes this like, what are they, two like tongi forks?
Yeah.
And he starts dancing with these.
Yeah, because he's dreaming. Okay, so these girls say that they're gonna have dinner with him at 8:00 on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Eve. I'm sorry, New Year's Eve. And so he's waiting for them, and he falls asleep. And this is a dream that he has of them opening the presents and. You know, Georgia kisses him,
yeah.
and they say he's the best, and they want him to give a speech, I think. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm not good with speeches, but I can dance.
Yep.
And this is how he dances.
It's like, I'll try and like edit a little something in there so that people can see it.
Yeah.
But it's really silly. I did laugh at that. I was like,
it's incredible though.
It is.
The choreography is amazing.
It was really good. I was like, okay, this works for whatever reason.
It's so good. Johnny Depp did it in Benny and June, I believe.
I've never watched that.
Yeah, I believe he did do it. I think I saw it 30 years ago. I can barely remember.
You know, a movie I haven't seen with him, and you're going to be like, I can't believe it, but I'm going to watch it soon. Donnie Brasco.
That's supposed to be really good.
It is.
Isn't that Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anywho,
sorry. Anyway.
Saying about Johnny.
Yeah, sorry. He did do the dance, though. I think imitating Charlie Chaplin.
Actually, let's talk about Johnny. Okay. Because if you watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you cannot tell me Johnny wasn't watching Charlie Chaplin in that performance. He's very Charlie Chaplin-like in that performance. Have you seen that?
It's been a long. I mean, that came out in 2005.
2005.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but I remember, like he was sort of. This might be offensive, but Michael Jackson-esque.
He was
like very Michael Jackson-esque.
Charlie
Chaplin. Yeah.
He definitely had a Michael Jackson vibe. Somebody else said that too, so it's not offensive.
Yeah.
I think that movie's absolutely atrocious. I hate
compared to the original or just in general?
In general. The original is money. I love Gene Wilder. Watched Blazing Saddles yesterday.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I have to say it, the best part of the movie, when I forget who is talking to Cleavon Little, but they're like, they said you was hung, and he's like, they was right.
They was right, yo. They was right. I started dying. I was like, yo, Mel Brooks wrote this black dude some great lines. I was like, go for it.
He and Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor wrote that.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's so funny.
Yeah, that's a great film. Well, we'll have to get into that at some point.
We will have to have like a 70s we'll have like a blaxploitation type episode, and we can kind of throw Blazing Saddles in there because that was kind of like in the mix of the blaxploitation era.
Yeah,
type. Even though it's not a blaxploitation film, it's a weird Western take on one, I would say.
Yeah.
But anywho, yeah, I do think Johnny was watching Little Charlie when he was getting ready for Charlie.
Oh, he probably would have had to.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, the movements and everything.
Yeah.
And like, let's talk about Charlie Chaplin as a character for a second, he has a very, very distinct look. You know
Yes.
exactly who he is as soon as you see him. The top hats, the weird curly hair, the little Hitler mustache.
Well, at that point, it wasn't.
It wasn't
a Hitler mustache.
actually, yeah. Actually.
At that point, it was just like, I think it's like a toothbrush mustache or something. Because Oliver Hardy had it too with Laurel and Hardy, and that was all before Adolf. So I just have to point that out. Chaplin and Hardy had it first.
He wasn't trying to imitate him.
Yeah,
especially because he made a movie making fun of him.
He did. Have you seen The Great
I have
Great
not
Dictator?
seen The Great Dictator, but I've seen little clips.
Yeah.
And I was laughing at some of the clips I saw, so that is definitely one I'm going to watch.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
But I'm guessing one thing, all three of these men wore excessive amounts of makeup.
Yes, pancake makeup.
Yes, like freaking Harold Lloyd had more makeup on than any female in that film. Annie, his face was like the color of that paper in front of him.
Yeah, these guys are bone white.
Yeah, and it's like, even though these films aren't even like, they're obviously in black and white, and they're not crisp like colors, like you can still tell that's a ghost you're looking at.
Do you think it's because of the vaudeville influence? Because I know Chaplin and Keaton started out in vaudeville, and you'd have to wear that kind of makeup so like the people in the back row can see you.
Do you think maybe that is it?
So like in the theater, the people in the back row can still make out at least like, the dark around the eyes and everything.
That's probably so. That might be so.
Because before color, that might have been the only way to do it.
And I was going to say, it does work because it makes them stand out.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you see Charlie, you're like, wow, his face is the whitest face I've ever seen, with this dark mustache, dark eyebrows, dark hair,
the dark hair.
Hat. He's a very color contrasted character, which I think adds to his animated style of acting, because he's a very animated actor, and all three of these actors were, because that's how you had to be without speaking. You had to
have those physical attributes.
Yes, and I think that has to be respected, and that's what I'm like, out of all these films, I respect what these guys were able to do, because you had to tell a story without telling the story.
Yeah.
So it's like, you had the title cards. They're a sentence. They tell you one thing that either someone said or what the setting is real quick. And if you blink, you miss the title card and you don't even know what happened, then, you just got to keep rolling. But the actors are good enough to keep you rolling with the story.
Yeah.
And so the Gold Rush, when you we got to talk about Georgia and Jack.
Okay.
So Jack, in the version I watched, Georgia, what I liked about Georgia wasn't no floozy.
She acted like it, but she wasn't
version.
One.
Yeah.
She sort of wasn't in 1925 either, but her and her girlfriend seemed like they were the entertainment.
They liked attention.
Yeah.
Like all women do.
Yeah. They were like Yukon showgirls.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But Georgia was very strong in her convictions when it came to Jack. Jack was a big guy, stout, a guy, especially back then. Women probably wanted like a Gaston type of guy.
Actually, yeah, he would be like Gaston.
Yeah, he was like a Gaston. That's who he reminded me of. And just like Belle, she's like, bruh, I want no parts of you. He was so aggressive and predatory, and he was making me a little bit uncomfortable. Couple scenes, I was shocked at some of the aggressive nature he portrayed in a film that old, but she stood her ground, and I like that. And she liked the tramp because he was sweet.
Yeah,
of course he was trying to impress her, but she liked that because he didn't try and do it in a macho way. He was something different.
Yeah, and
that trope has been going on in films forever. The girl's sick of the big, rough, tough, jerky dude, and she, takes a shot at the sweeter, more sensitive guy, the guy who cares about her feelings, listens to her. It's the same type of story, just way back in the day.
Yeah.
So bringing it all back to the center, all these movies, the center is all romance. All these guys, their ultimate desire is love. Why does Harold Lloyd want all this money? So he can have his chick.
Yeah.
Why does the tramp want to get this money? So he can have his chick.
Yeah.
The general, why does the dude want to be a soldier? So he can get his chick.
Yeah.
So they all their motives are centered around love, and that love was strong. Love was different back then, and I think and just like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, they fall in love so fast in all these movies.
Oh, yes, they do.
It's
Yeah.
like 15 minutes. They hung out twice, and it's like, bro, I think we should get married. It's like,
Well, this movie takes place, I think, in the 1890s.
1890s.
Yeah, because it's the
Early
Alaska,
gold rush, yeah.
Yukon, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cold as hell where they're
Yeah.
at. There's bears and stuff around.
yeah, and cabins that barely stand.
Cabins that can. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and roll into the third act because I'm glad you brought that up. So,
Yeah,
in the third act, it gets crazy in this movie, bro. The cabin. So what? There's a storm,
yes.
and the storm gets crazy, and the cabin literally starts moving and blowing away, and the cabin ends up on the edge of a cliff,
Teetering.
teetering, like literally like a seesaw. And Jack and
Big Jim.
and
And the
the
tramp.
they're running back and forth trying to keep the balance. And we've seen this goofy stuff in like cartoons and all that. Like this stuff influenced a lot.
You can tell,
You
yeah.
can tell. It's insane the amount of influence it had on some of this stuff. And it's a really funny scene because I was kind of hoping the house would fall. Because I was like,
So they had the fate of Black Larson.
Yeah.
The guy from the beginning.
I was like, this is funny. If it would fall, it would just be hilarious. But this thing is rocking back and forth crazy. And they're being so dumb. They get it level like 3 times
Yeah.
and then keep screwing it up.
Yeah, because they're not sure which side is which, I guess. Which side has ground and which doesn't.
But if they were smart, they realized the heavy guy is on the side that's clearly tilting a lot faster.
Yes,
So
yes.
run left, okay?
Yeah.
And we'll take a breath, look around, and figure out the situation. They just panic so much. But that scene works really well, and, it works in their favor. They end up getting rich and become millionaires, man.
Yeah.
They get papered out. And the tramp ain't a tramp no more. He walking around, fresh suit, monocle, looking cool, looking fresh. And
smoking not thrown away cigars.
Yeah, smoking them.
Yeah.
And so what? He ends up on this boat, and who's on the boat? Of course, the love of his life.
Yeah,
the
George
chick
is
he
there.
probably only knew for a couple months, maybe.
A couple weeks.
Weeks. Yeah, I was like weeks.
Yeah.
So George is there, and they think he's a stowaway, right?
Yeah, she thinks he's a stowaway
Yeah.
because she hears them saying that they're looking for a stowaway.
Yeah, they're looking for one.
So these photographers are there because they want to take pictures and do a cover story of these new millionaires, Big Jim and the Tramp, because the Tramp doesn't really have a name.
You don't have a name.
Other than the little fellow, if you watch the
they call him
1942
the little
version.
fellow, yeah.
And so these photographers want a picture of him in his mining clothes, which is his beat up suit that he wears as the Tramp.
Yeah.
So she sees him and thinks he's the stowaway.
Yeah. But man, he was rich. And it has a happy ending.
It does.
The 20s version is a little different. I didn't see it, but I was informed on how it ends, which is still a happy, cute little ending.
It just solidifies what you think.
Yep. I was like, it just locks in what you already know.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought the Gold Rush. I thought it was a pretty good film. I didn't think it was as funny as Safety First. I thought it was goofy as hell. There was some real goofy stuff. I did shake my head a couple times. I know back in the day, this was what people had for entertainment. And they probably thought this was brilliant. And it was. And it is brilliant. But, me growing up in the 90s, the comedies I grew up with already had raunchy, crazy stuff in them. They were already over the top. So that style of comedy isn't what I grew up with until I started exploring films when I got older. So watching it, it feels goofy and silly because it is.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely appreciate it for what it is, what it did, and how it changed people's lives back in the day. The highlight of their week was going to the pictures. If they can get to the pictures, that was the highlight of their week because TVs weren't homes yet. So it was like, even if you were watching something that wasn't even that good, that was probably some of the best escapism you could have back then.
And he was the biggest star in the world.
He was
Yeah.
the man, bro. He was rolling in the bread.
Yeah.
You know, and he always played these down and out characters, and this man was not down and out.
Not at all, no.
He was chilling.
He looked nothing like the Tramp.
Nothing, you know. He on the streets. He was probably rolling around in the freshest new Model T or whatever was,
Yeah.
you know, booming back then. So, overall grade, I'm gonna give Gold Rush a B, maybe a B plus, because of influence alone, stunt work, choreography. All that is A1. It's very well edited too. Yeah, that editing is crazy. The way they got the cabin to spin around, I don't know how they did that.
And even when like Black Larson, like the way that that they edited him into like the cliff like falling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
How'd y'all? I was very impressed with,
because that's pre-Metropolis.
Yes, I was very impressed with the filmmaking techniques.
Yeah,
that went on in that film, and like Metropolis definitely was a crazy feat for back then. That film, it rivals Morbius. So
I agree with your B or B plus, and I think only because it's a dramatic comedy, so it's not like a full-fledged comedy like. Safety Last is like almost all comedy all the time.
Start to finish, you're laughing.
Yeah. Whereas like I think you'll find in more of Chaplin's stuff, it's like it's always a dramatic comedy. Like there's funny stuff, but it's more like a tearjerker or heart-wrenching. There's a lot of pathos. There's a lot of like you can relate to the Tramp because of the human condition.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting to laugh like for 2 hours, you're not gonna laugh for that long.
And maybe that was not necessarily my issue, but maybe I definitely went in expecting
more
the
humor.
Gold Rush to be more like Safety Last.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to be just doing crazy, goofy, nutty, funny, Three Stooges type of stuff the whole time, because I'm not very familiar with his work. So, but that will change, guys.
Yes.
So what are you giving Gold Rush?
I would say I agree with your B or B plus.
Yeah, like
because it's not a straight comedy. It's it mixes the two genres, and it even says it in the beginning. I don't remember if it's the 1942, but I know definitely in the 1925 version it says a dramatic comedy.
Yeah.
So it warns us right away.
All right, so before we get into the general, let's jump into our intermission.
Intermission.
So let's let's do movie release here. I'll do you first. So guys, I know we've been lacking on giving you time to guess or think. So wait like 7 seconds before we answer. All right?
Okay.
All right. So movie release here. I know you probably know it, so just contain yourself.
Okay.
City Lights.
Oh my God, City Lights. God, I know when Modern Times came out. Is this enough time that's passed?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I would say 1932.
31.
Oh my God!
Right there.
Because I think Modern Times came out in 36, and he had gaps because he would take his time with.
Yeah, which was smart.
Yeah.
Make the people miss you too.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was hanging out and doing stuff, enjoying his life.
Oh yeah.
All right. Trip to the Moon.
Oh my God, Trip to the Moon! I love it. If you ever watched the video for the Smashing Pumpkins Tonight,
yeah, it's a great video.
Incredible. Shot for shot remake.
Video. I love it. It's so good.
Starring Tom Kenny.
Yep.
From SpongeBob SquarePants and Mr.
And
Show.
Mr. Show.
Yes.
Mr. Show.
I got a Trip to the Moon. You know what? I want to say 1901, but it might be.
Go ahead. It might be what?
God, but I want to also say like 1903.
It's 1902.
Is it?
You're
oh my God! God, that's terrible.
Like you're right. Like you're right there. You're one off on each one.
Wow.
All right, last one. Man with the movie camera.
Man with the movie camera.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? I assume it's a silent film.
Mm-hmm.
I assume it's an early one.
It's getting closer towards talkie.
Okay. If it's closer towards talkie, the first talkie was in 1928.
Mm-hmm.
So 27?
29.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You're close though on all.
Man.
All right, what movie releases you got for me?
Okay. I have these questions. I have to ask one of my trivia questions to you first.
Okay.
Okay? Because these other two questions have to do with the answer to a trivia question.
Okay.
What is the only film in which Chaplin and Keaton co-star?
They're in a film together.
They're in a film together.
Oh,
Only one film out of all the films that they made, and they made hundreds if you count their short subjects.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz when I say short subject.
No, I have no clue.
Limelight.
Limelight.
Yes.
Is it good?
Actually, it is pretty good, but it's one of those dramatic comedies.
Oh, it's dramatic. Okay.
And they're older.
Yeah.
So, in what year did Limelight come out? That is my question. They are older.
It's silent, right?
It is not a silent film.
It's not. I'm going to say 1942.
1952.
Dang, way older.
Yeah, 1952, Limelight came out.
Way older.
Now, in what year did Limelight win the Academy Award for Best Music?
Oh, it did, huh?
It did. But in what year?
53.
1973.
How does this happen?
Okay, so apparently, Charlie Chaplin was like, he had his passport revoked, so he couldn't come back into the United States shortly after this film was released. So they didn't actually release the film in Los Angeles to be in contention for an Oscar until 1972.
Wow, and it still won.
And it still won. So 20 years later, so in 73 for like the 72 Oscars.
That's insane.
It won 20 years later.
That's insane.
Yeah, but only because they revoked his passport.
Because we kind of effed you.
Yeah.
Effed. Dang. Wow. All right, what else you got?
Oh, that's another. Okay. In what year did the first feature-length comedy come out? Because remember, there's a lot of short subjects and everything. So since we're talking about feature-length comedies, in what year was the first feature-length comedy that co-starred Charlie Chaplin and Big Jim McKay, whose real name, Max Swain. That's his real name.
Swain.
It
Oh.
co-starred Max Swain and Charlie Chaplin.
I'm going to say 1914.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Now.
That sounded right. I have no clue what movie it is.
That was going to be my next question.
I was like, I figure he's going to ask me what it is, and I do not know. So, what movie was that? Take your time if you know it. All right, you can reveal it.
All right. It is Tilly's Punctual Romance.
Is it good?
I started to watch it. It's not bad. He's not the tramp in it.
Oh, okay.
Because I learned through this that he started doing films in 1914. Like at the beginning of 1914, like January is when they started to release. January,
Okay.
February. There's a ton of stuff that he released. His second film, he has the tramp persona.
Okay.
But
That was an early on.
yeah,
thing.
an early thing. So like the first one that was released, he's not the tramp. And the last one in 1914 is Tilly's Punctual Romance.
Wow.
And they're all on like his YouTube page. There's a Charlie Chaplin YouTube page, and it's by year. You can watch
Wow.
all these things by year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie C.
They're not necessarily.
Somebody's getting paid off of your stuff.
I'm sure his
Family,
his
they're
descendants,
like,
yeah.
They're like, oh, we love Dad.
and they're not
Great,
necessarily
great.
in like release order. But if you go on Wikipedia, you can see what order
Yeah,
they were released in, and then watch them.
correctly.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah.
All right, so I got some trivia for you.
Okay.
Okay. How many movies did Charlie Chaplin direct?
Oh my God.
It was actually less than I thought
Yeah,
when I looked it up.
if it's really just his features,
Features.
because I
His
think other
features.
people directed
Yeah.
the shorts.
Yeah, his features. So it's multiple guesses. Though.
Okay.
A9, B10, C11, or D12.
I'm thinking 12.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. What's the highest grossing silent picture? Now don't rush if you already know it. Do you know it?
I don't think I do. I need.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
A. Gold Rush. B. Birth of a Nation. C. Ben-Hur. Or D. The Circus.
Oh, The Circus is another Chaplin film.
Now, all four of these are in the top 10 highest grossing silent films of all time.
Ben-Hur, was that another Cecil B. DeMille film? Do you know?
But I'm not 100.
Because I think he liked those biblical epics. Unless you think Ben-Hur is about a trans individual. Which it could be. It could be if you don't see how her is spelled. You might think that if you just hear it.
It's like he been her.
Yeah.
Or been her.
Yeah. God, I would hate for it to be Birth of a Nation, but I know it was really popular. And it started, but that was 1915. All right, Birth of a Nation.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. Made over $10 million back in 1915.
Oh my God.
Crazy, right?
And it started
It's so nuts.
It is. And have you seen it?
I've seen a lot of like clips from it, but I have not seen it in its entirety. But I've seen some of the scenes, and I'm like,
it's terrible.
What the heck is this?
Yeah, it's terrible.
But I do want to watch it in its entirety. I have to.
At least for its historical
I got it.
significance, if only in reigniting interest in the KKK.
Yeah.
God, is that awful? Is that terrible?
It is, but you know, as bad as it is, and this is going to sound probably even crazy coming from me, but D.W. Griffith kind of changed the game with that film.
He did.
With the techniques and what he pulled off.
And it was like 3 hours.
Yeah, he pulled off
15,
an epic, a silent epic. And I mean, he made a film people did like. And, you know, of course, he's trying to right that wrong a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I've read that John Ford helped on that, too.
Really?
Yeah. And
wow.
so they said The Searchers was his way of, like, righting that wrong.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I just read that. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I am going to watch that eventually. It's been on my list. All right, this is a random, fun one. I had to throw something off base.
Okay.
How many Fast and Furious movies does Vin Diesel star in? A. 8. B. 10. C. 9. Or D. 7.
All right, this is... I'm just going to talk for a few seconds just to get my time in here. But it's sad because I think I know this answer, and I've never seen any of them other than Hobbs and Shaw. Because my dad wanted to see Hobbs and Shaw.
Hold on.
I think Vin Diesel's a terrible actor, even though I love Bloodshot, because I love the comic book character.
You don't like Pitch Black?
I haven't seen it because Vin Diesel starred in it.
Bro, it's so good.
My favorite Vin Diesel role, believe it or not, is
Saving Private Ryan.
When he gets shot and killed. Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredible when he gets shot.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my niece. Whatever. You know, actually, he was the voice of the Iron Giant and Groot.
Bro, and Groot. I'm like, dude, his voice work is A1.
Yeah, his voice work is incredible. I think his acting is terrible.
He's not a great actor.
No,
but
9. 9 is the answer.
It's actually 8.
Is it 8?
That he stars in. Now, he's technically in 9.
Yeah.
Because he's not in 2.
Yeah.
In Tokyo Drift, he makes a cameo.
I forgot about Tokyo Drift.
He makes a cameo at the very end.
Because that's Lucas Black, right?
Black.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift.
So,
Yep. So
actually, I'm not ashamed because I never saw it.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you were pretty close for someone who didn't see
I knew it was Tyrese in the second one.
Tyrese is in the second one.
Yeah, or what, Baby Boy, right?
Baby Boy. Classic, man. John Singleton, rest in peace.
Wow.
Now, you got a streaming recommendation.
Believe it or not, I was thinking this whole week, just I would just say Tubi because you can find all of Buster Keaton's stuff.
Yeah, that
You
was
can-
on there.
You can
It's
even
on Paramount Plus too.
Oh, is it?
That. Yeah, that's where I
Nice.
watch the Generals ad free.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And HBO. I'm sorry, Max
Max
has a lot of Harold Lloyd and almost all of
the
Chaplin's.
on there for the most part. At least all the like main ones.
Yeah, probably all 12.
Yeah,
from what I'm thinking
I think
now.
they are because like I just typed in Charlie and like it was just a whole bunch of stuff came up.
So that's what I would say. If anyone's actually interested in checking them out, they are available.
Mhm.
And there's even they use AI for everything, even though it's never going to take over because they still need people to program it.
Absolutely,
Need
human brains.
They've used AI to like colorize some of these older black and white silent films, and you can find them on YouTube.
Yeah,
In case you want to see it, so like the shadows aren't as dark, and you can kind of see what's going on better in some scenes.
yeah. They definitely done some nice cleanup on tons of old films.
Yeah.
Some of these older films look like they came out a couple years ago.
So yeah, nothing specific. Just if you're interested in any of these artists and their work, that's where you can find them.
All right, well, I got a specific streaming
All right.
recommendation, and it's got to be one of the best films I ever watched. Checked it out last night. Now, this is a streaming app most of y'all don't have. This is for the deep folks, the deep cineas, but it's a French film. It's on the Criterion Channel.
Wow.
It's called La Haine, 1995. Okay. This film is incredible. It's about three dudes whose friend gets beaten up by the cops and he's in a coma and they're waiting to see if he's going to live or not. And it's really just a day in the life of these three guys rolling around urban ghetto Paris, France. And it's a side of France that you don't usually see in films. The three leads, it's a Jewish guy, an Arab, and a black dude.
Oh,
and
wow.
their chemistry is off the charts. The movie is funny as hell. There's a part where one of the dudes is giving one of his friends a haircut, and oh my god, it's so funny. I was laughing tears, guys, like not even kidding. This film is incredible. It's powerful. It's very relevant to today. It's insanely relevant still, which is kind of sad, but I think most people knew this isn't going to change overnight. 95 could have came out in 2020 and you wouldn't notice a difference. It's very stylistic. It's got some cool stuff in it. The music, everything, the vibe of it is great. Guys, I would absolutely check it out. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.1 on IMDb, if that gives you any incentive.
Who directed it?
Oh, what's his name? Hold on, I got it here.
Because I'm curious, because I think Luc Besson is the only like French
he's amazing.
or like
Matthew
Louis.
Kassovitz.
Okay.
He did Babylon AD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that with Vin Diesel? No, I
No,
I don't know.
Wait, no, is he in that?
I think
I never saw it.
Yeah.
But it looked pretty bad.
that might actually be with Vin Diesel.
I'm like, bro, you might not be wrong. Hold on, let me see. I gotta check.
And the fact that I knew that off the top of my head is frustrating, if that's true.
You know some stuff. You know, right?
Yeah.
Bro, it's Vin Diesel.
Yeah, that sounded familiar.
Yep, it's Vin Diesel.
Because, after the Fast and the Furious came out, look, like the Triple X movies,
yeah.
or at least the first one he
Dude,
was
the
in.
first
And
Triple X was fun too.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on Vin, bro.
But see, I did see Bloodshot because, like I said,
Yeah.
I loved the comic when I was a kid.
That's
So
the only reason.
yeah, so I was like, all right, I got to see this movie. Like, I want to see this character who most people don't know because it was almost like an independent comic.
Yeah.
Get the big budget treatment. And the movie was terrible. Don't get me
Of
wrong.
course.
It wasn't on the level of Morbius,
No.
but it was actually not as bad as I thought it would be.
Of course, that's always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah,
right?
but it was Vin Diesel, and I'm like, oh, and the guy from Outlander, like, dude, that guy isn't really a good actor either. Like, because Outlander,
you gotta get wooden guys for this stuff.
yeah, and that's awful because you'd think with the modern superhero films, you can get a good actor to play or a great actor to play a good part and make it great. Like Robert Downey Jr. is like the litmus test.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah.
Evans, some dudes like that.
Yeah,
Of course, Christian Bale.
or even Jackie Chan,
Jackie Chan
Who-
is bro.
who
probably top 3 best physical actors of all time.
You know who one of his heroes was?
Who?
Buster Keaton.
Makes sense.
Yes.
The action.
Yes.
Makes sense. Real quick before we jump into the general, anything good you watch besides what we're discussing this week?
All right. Today I just watched the series finale of The Flash.
Oh, how was it?
You know what? It's kind of bittersweet because it's actually a very satisfying ending to the show because it's like it doesn't really end, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it gives you hope for the future.
I was like, you might get something else.
Yeah, and after like 9 years with these characters, it's I admit I had some water.
Yeah, of course.
Tear up a little bit because I knew it was the end.
It's the end. I've been chilling with you for 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched that. I watched like the new Superman and Lois, which is honestly a great show, and this new season is stellar. It's just there's so many emotions in these shows. Like the humanity in this Superman show is unreal.
That's a CW one, right?
Yes.
The CW, they've been doing their thing with their shows the last few years.
Yeah,
man. They really have. So I mean, I can't say nothing about it. They've been doing a good job.
And I watched. I was going back and forth. I watched a little bit of The Freshman, another Harold Lloyd film, because I think you texted me about it yesterday.
I'm gonna watch it,
and I was like, oh, it's here. I'm like, oh, it's more sepia tone than black and white, and I find that interesting. Like the beginning of Wizard of Oz is that sepia tone, and I was watching a little bit of College, which is a Buster Keaton film where he obviously goes to college. I pretty much got into more like the silent films the past week or so. And I was watching some of the Fatty Arbuckle stuff that they were in before they went solo, just kind of seeing how they evolved. So that's what I've really been watching. How about you? I know Wednesday night is your night.
That's my night, man. So I already talked about my stream recommendation, Lahane. That was really good. I did watch Blazing Saddles. I watched that. Hilarious. I think it's 74. Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah, I believe it is. You're right.
Great film. Funny as hell. Ending super messy, but still doesn't take away from its magic. Then I checked out one Steve McQueen film. The guy who did 12 Years a Slave, not the actor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The director.
Yes.
The black dude from the UK.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender's like his guy.
Michael Fassbender's a great actor.
I love Michael Fassbender. For me, he's like an Irish Christian Bale. That's who he reminds me of.
He's also part German, obviously, with the name Fassbender.
Yeah. Which would explain his role in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Even though he plays an anti-Nazi. But anyway, so I watched a film directed by Steve McQueen and starring Michael Fassbender, 2011. It's called Shame, NC-17.
Oh yeah, because he's full frontal and everything. That's when women fell in love with Michael Fassbender.
It was, and it's about his sex addiction. And boy, oh boy, guys out there, if you think you got a problem in that department, you think you might have addiction, you might not if you watch this film, bro. Holy cow, he was into some stuff. And the film was incredible because it was layered very nicely, and they didn't reveal everything to you at once. They showed you character traits of him, and then later you see why he's like that and the things he does. And it was very good. I definitely, if you like, because it plays like a psychological thriller, but it's not. It's really a character study about this guy. But if you're into character studies and you like some trippy, weird kind of stuff, definitely check out Shame. Also checked out Pearl 2022, Mia Goth, the prequel to X that came out the same year. I actually loved it. I enjoyed it much more than I did X. X was decent, but X, come on, it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that was my issue with X. The originality fell flat for me. But Pearl was quite original. Even though it's stuff we've seen before, it had a very original, fresh feeling. And I haven't seen a lot of her work, but I am slowly turning into a Mia Goth fan. She is really a very talented woman. And I don't find her super cute, so that's how I know I'm very attracted to her talent. She's not bad looking or anything.
She doesn't have eyebrows, does she?
She on the street she does it. In film she does, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's okay. I know a lot of people think she's real good looking. Not my flavor. We're not talking.
What if she was a redhead?
I think I don't think it would help her much because she don't have the complexion to match.
I understand. Yeah, you
I like my redheads white as a bone. I want
like Chaplin or Harold Lloyd.
I want him Chaplin's color.
Yeah,
like looking like she's never went outside once in her life.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, give me Jessica Chastain in the dead of winter. Yes, yes. Man,
now we know
that woman. Guys, if you want to, ever send us a gift, if you send Jessica Chastain to me, you will forever be my favorite person. But anywho, so I watched that. It was great. I would highly recommend that for horror fans. And I did watch Beverly Hills Cop 2. I watched Beverly Hills Cop 1 last week.
Is that the one with she was dating Sylvester Stallone? Yes, Bridget Nielsen.
Man. She's
Red Sonja.
She was pretty too, man. Tall, big blonde chick. I liked her look and vibe in that movie. She's not the sexiest woman, but her presence, the way she carried herself was attractive. But I thought she did pretty good as a villain. I thought it was a pretty good follow up to 2. I'd say the humor was still on par. I mean, of course, 1 has that original flavor and flair to it. But I did like getting to see Eddie hang out with the 2 cops from Beverly more in this one. I thought that was cool. I liked the 3 of them together. It was a fun movie. If you like 80s buddy cop movies, dude, definitely watch Beverly Hills and Lethal Weapon and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But
even 48 Hours, though
48 Hours, Nick Nolte,
even though Eddie Murphy wasn't a cop in that, it's still a buddy picture.
It's a buddy picture, yeah.
It's
classic. Nick Nolte was a man back in the day, man. He was a dude. Anywho, got to talk about our guy Buster.
Oh yeah, now the General.
The General. Let's get and we're not talking car insurance.
We are not. We're talking a train.
Yep. Shaq will not be in this video. So the General.
Surprisingly.
The General is another romance story. At the end of the day, it's another romance story. Now, I want to make sure I got this correct. So, his character, he wants to enlist in the military, but they ask him his occupation, and he tells them
he's
a train engineer.
Yeah.
And they say, well, you're far. Because as soon as he said that, I was thinking in my head, I wouldn't take this guy. You're kind of valuable to society.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Yeah, but he's also valuable to the war effort.
Yeah, because
they don't want him to go and get killed. Then who's going to operate the train?
Operate the train.
Yeah. So you're correct.
But so he actually, this was his real occupation. Why did he seem so bad at it?
I don't think he was bad at it though.
But he kept screwing stuff up.
I think he kept screwing stuff up because
when he left them dudes, when the train was detached, was that on purpose?
Yes.
Oh, because he.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
He looked back. Because I'm like, bro, how do you not know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the comedy.
Yes, that's what he seemed kind of not. He wasn't terrible, but I'm like, he makes tons of mistakes.
He does. He makes a lot of mistakes. But so we have to say the film starts out. I think is he gonna propose to his girl?
He's gonna propose to his girl,
and then the Civil War breaks out,
and he's like, "I want to enlist."
And they're in the South, so he's
a Confederate man.
Yeah, so her dad and her brother are like, "We have to go enlist," and then she's like, I'll never
dude in uniform.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's like, this freaking chick. I am in uniform. I'm on that lot. I've been working on the railroad. I'm like, woman. He was probably bringing in some good money doing that.
He would have had to have been.
Yeah.
So he runs to the front of the line to enlist, and like we said, they won't enlist him because he's too valuable to the war effort.
Yeah.
And so he's just driving a train. His girl doesn't want to have anything to do with him because the dad and the brother think that he didn't even get in line because they only see him when they're waiting. So in their mind, he's a coward and a traitor.
Yep, but he got in line and he tried.
Yeah, he tried.
And
he really tried.
He really tried. I was like, because didn't he try and
steal other people's
favors?
He was trying
I was like, he was trying to play it off like he was somebody else.
Yeah.
He really wanted to get in. So obviously, He cared about this woman, her father's opinion, her brother's opinion. Yet again, a man doing a lot of things he might not normally do for the interest of a woman.
So then he's doing the train thing. There's a plot from the north to take the train so they can like burn bridges and all this stuff on the way up, so to kind of cripple the Confederate soldiers that are there. So his train gets stolen. He sees it get stolen. So he goes after it, and he ends up getting a train, another one, to go after it at a station with all the soldiers.
All the soldiers.
Yeah. So, and you're right. He thought he had all those guys behind him, and he didn't.
He didn't,
because it wasn't hooked up.
It wasn't hooked up, and he takes off, and they're screaming at him, and they're waving, and he's just like,
I couldn't hear it.
He probably couldn't. I'm like,
yeah,
probably loud as hell.
Yeah,
but he couldn't hear it, and there was like some big crap behind him. So like, even if you turn around, you'd have to really pull your head out to see the back. So he gets a good minute before he realizes they're not there. Like, they're not in sight when he looks back.
Yeah, because he goes to look for him, and he's like, wait, what?
What? Yeah, I was like, oh, come on, bro. How did you not realize that? I'm like, it's the first thing you got to do. You got to check the stuff. So after that, so he keeps going up. And then I'm trying to remember what happens after he steals that train.
Oh, the Union guys see that he's following them.
Yes.
They start like dumping stuff on the track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trying to get screwed up. And I'm like, yo, yeah, don't they throw some trees and stuff on the tracks?
No, they do that's later.
They do it to him.
Yeah,
he does it to them. That's right.
That's
right. Yeah, they were throwing crap on the tracks,
like wood planks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm like,
which is a dangerous stunt.
I was literally gonna say, I was like, bro, I feel like this train will fall off the tracks.
Yeah.
Like,
so if he didn't get that stunt right,
I was like, this could be bad.
He would have died, and the train would have derailed. Yeah.
And before we even go on, we gotta talk about the stunt work that was going on in here. There was some dude, he was hopping on these trains and swinging axes and breaking stuff and climbing stuff, and it was a lot of movement, jumping from train car to train car. There's all kinds of real crazy stunt work in this movie. Like, dude, if this dude was around now, he might have been a stuntman for Action Guys if he couldn't transition into talkies. So like, there's some crazy stunt work in this. I was most impressed with the stunt work in this. Like I said, the climb and Safety Last was great, but this film was filled with stunts. This felt more like an action drama than a comedy. I didn't laugh much in this film. I was more, enticed by the visuals and what I was seeing than the humor. I didn't see much of the humor in this film. But go on. So,
well, I think you're right, and I think that comes across in a lot of his films because he's known as a stone face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't have much emotion because, well, I don't really know why, but so because of that, you can't really tell if he's happy, if he's sad.
Mm-hmm.
So if something is funny, he's not going to show it.
Mm-mm.
Whereas, like, at least Chaplin, like, smiles.
He smiles.
Yeah.
He nods it up.
Yeah. Whereas Buster Keaton, like, he grew up, pretty much, if I say getting beat up by his father, that was the act that he did starting at like 3 years old with his parents in vaudeville. So he learned early on how to like take a fall, how to do these kinds of things that he's doing like in this film and his other films, so he doesn't get hurt.
Wow.
He learned that from like 3 years, maybe even earlier, because the nickname Buster, here's a good trivia question.
Mm-hmm.
Who gave Joseph Keaton Jr. the nickname Buster?
His father?
No. His father's friend, Harry Houdini.
Whoa, the Harry Houdini?
The Harry Houdini.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Because I guess he was like 6 months old and he fell down the steps. And Houdini, and when you fell down and you didn't hurt yourself, you called it a buster back then. And he was like, hey, that was some buster. And then
so
I guess,
it just stuck,
the nickname stuck, and it was Harry Houdini.
Harry Houdini.
So his form of comedy came from, the stage, but being more physical than I think being like verbal. Like we said, the Harold Lloyd stuff, even the title cards were funny. They were jokes, basically. Whereas with Keaton, it's the visual that's more the joke, and it is usually some physical thing that he puts himself in that you think he's going to die.
Yeah, I was like, bro, this fool would die. I said that
Yeah.
like at least 7 times while I was watching the movie. I was like, this dude would die.
Yeah.
I was like, because there's a part where like 2 trains are like about to collide.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, how I was just really impressed at how they got these trains on film this way back then.
Yeah.
The way they
the synchronization and everything.
I'm like, who was running this? Because this would look like a high budget picture for back then.
I believe it was probably the most expensive picture at the time.
It probably
I believe it was.
Because I'm like, bro, this movie probably cost more to make than you would think. You look at it now, you'd be like, oh, they could have made this for a couple million.
I want to say like $500,000, which 100 years ago,
money. That's crazy money.
Yeah, 100 years ago, it's like what?
That's the house and the kitchen sink. That's
Yeah.
everything. So I was hella impressed with the visuals I was seeing. They blew up some stuff. There's some funny scenes. There's a funny scene where he's shooting a cannon. And doesn't he accidentally shoot the one guy and then he swings the sword and the sword goes through the dude's back?
Yes,
that
because
was kind of hardcore.
Yeah, like at one point he's not on a train and he's actually fighting.
He's fighting. So he does.
And he gets a
That's
sniper.
the thing. He literally does become a military man.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much joins the Confederacy by accident.
Yes.
So all these goofy events lead him to actually fighting in the war effort, and he gets a uniform and he meets up with the girl again, and she's like, "Hey, you in uniform, looking hot."
Yeah.
And they go through some shit, man. They They go through a rainstorm. She gets captured.
She gets captured by the Union, and he rescues her.
He rescues her, and then he puts her in a potato sack.
Yeah.
And carries her on his shoulder.
Oh, when he steals back his train.
Yeah, when he steals back his train, he ends up having to put her in a sack. They sleep outside for a night. They go through some crap.
Yeah.
And the romance side of this film that I did appreciate was it definitely was a blueprint for a lot of the adventure screwball comedies where 2 people are forced together to get through a situation and they end up falling in love through the process.
You know what it reminded me of? And it's a different kind of love, so don't get me wrong, it's not the same. Some of it reminded me of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Not only because it's the Civil War.
No. Yeah, well, you got the Civil War, and it's the same thing with Tuco and Clint.
And Blondie, yeah.
They
they love each other.
They did, bro.
A bromance,
They definitely did, because, especially after, the stuff they went through with Angel Eyes, they're like, bro, we're all we got.
Yes,
you're the only dude I can trust, and even though I don't trust you, you're the most trustworthy guy I got. So it's
that's sort of what it reminded me of. And there's trains. There were trains in that film.
Yep.
There's obviously explosions
blowing up.
Yep.
They blow up a bridge in this movie too.
And it's the Union and the Confederacy.
And they're riding with the Confederacy.
Yeah.
Even though they don't have a dog in the fight.
No, they don't.
They
not
don't
at all.
care.
He's just an engineer. Yeah.
So.
In
Good, Bad.
In Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Yeah.
They don't give. They're like, bro, we're just trying to get this money.
And even in this one, I don't think he really cares about.
I think he just wanted to be in the military
because she wanted a man in uniform.
Man. Yeah.
So he's like, I don't care as long as I have a uniform.
Yeah, just give me. Yeah, so they go through all this, and he ends up killing folks, and he ends up fighting, and dude,
I forgot. He does kill.
So I was like, bro, I was very shocked at this one the most. This one shocked me the most because, like I said, far more action. I knew it was trains involved because obviously it's famous for that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be some more screwball-y, goofy stuff on the train because, there's a part where he's got the hand cart and he screws up and falls in the river.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more goofy stuff like that. But when you start getting halfway through the second act and all the third act is action. Explosions, stunts, choreography, all kinds of stuff. The romance is still spewing because she is there and she is kind of helping with the effort. But it is largely a physical role because obviously it's a silent picture. He's speaking 100% with these stunts that he's doing.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed because I'm like, bro, I would have been looking like Darth Vader by the end. Like, they would have had to give me a robot
Yeah.
suit after this. This was nuts. And I consider myself a semi-in shape dude, so like the fact that this skinny dude who probably didn't work out at all, he probably drank and smoked crazy. He probably did all this stuff that we know we shouldn't do now. Could out-athlete all of us now, which is pretty pathetic. You know, that says a lot about us people.
He could though.
He could. It was nuts. He was jumping all over the place, and he was what, probably like 30 when he did that movie.
Yeah, 29, 30. Yeah,
I'm like, that's not a young man no more, man. You start feeling stuff at that age.
Yeah.
So in the end, he ends up getting back, and he's got his jacket on, and he looks like a soldier, and he's helped with the effort. He saved the day. He's a hero, and he meets up with, like, I'm guessing it's the lieutenant, or no, he became a lieutenant. It had to be the general.
Yeah.
So he meets up with the general, and they're like, he has a gun in his hand. No, this part was funny. So he has a pistol in his hand, and he's walking with the general, and he accidentally shoots it at the ground, which prompts them to be like, who are you? Is this your uniform? Because clearly he didn't know how to handle his weapon. So they take his uniform from him, and they do it in front of his girl, and he looks miserable because he knows he's like, well, about to get dumped again, because they bonded crazy over this. And I'm going to talk about something I didn't like after I get through this point. But so they give this man his own jacket and his own hat and his own sword.
And a higher rank.
And higher rank. He's a lieutenant. And when they ask his occupation, he said he was a soldier. So... And you could tell he was proud of that, you know. And although I know he wanted to be in it for the girl, I still think he was proud to fight. Yeah, and I think it made him feel like a man because, you know, back then going to war was like considered kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know, it was like people were like, "Yeah, we going." Now we're like, "Hell no!" But like back then they wanted to go and kill.
Like, this is your fight, not mine.
I'm like, I didn't start none with these folks.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't like is after they stripped him of his uniform before he got his new rank, the girl looks sad. He looks sad. I'm like, chick, are you really not going to be with this guy? He just saved your life like 5 times.
She's superficial. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I'm like, that makes me mad because it shouldn't matter. I thought it was going to end with him. They take his clothes, and he was going to be down and out. Like, she was going to run up and be like, I don't care. You're the man for me. She was looking like, oh, that uniform gone, so am I.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she really gave a shit about that.
Yeah, she was like, well, my brother's wearing a uniform. He's looking pretty good.
He's looking pretty good.
And they're like, wait, what?
Incest,
Whoa. This isn't Egypt. You're not a pharaoh. Like, what is going on here? We're the British monarchy.
1860, though.
Yeah.
Some of that was probably going on.
Yeah, sadly.
South, 1860. They didn't know any better, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, probably not.
Limited options.
Yeah.
I mean, your neighbors are probably 5 miles away.
Yeah.
You go to the old schoolhouse and meet one chick that everybody wants. I don't know. I wasn't around. But overall, I did find the general quite entertaining. I thought it played out like a old school blockbuster. I was like, I think this was a blueprint for what blockbusters were to come. Even though obviously the real birth of them came in the 70s.
Yeah.
But it was a good film. Overall, grade-wise, I would give it a solid B. I was expecting some more laughs. I didn't laugh much. There were some funny situations, but I did laugh out loud at the other 2 films. This one I didn't much. I more so was just kind of watching and taking it in. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a good film. And like I said, there's too much to be appreciated and what was achieved for the time and the resources that you can't deny this film. Even if it's not your flavor, you have to give it its props, and it does rank in the greatest films ever made.
Yeah. It is on a lot of lists, just like
It
the Gold
is.
Rush is.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not
Chaplin films are littered
Always.
through a lot of them.
Yeah.
City Lights and Modern
Modern
Times
Times.
are always in them.
and The Great Dictator.
And The Great Dictator's in a lot too, and The Kid's in a lot.
Oh yeah,
Gotta watch The Kid. Gotta watch Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator is interesting because of what the subject matter it handles and when it came out.
When it came out,
It's
man.
like I can't believe he was able to do what he did, but it's a lot like the first Mad Max movie. Because, the plot is there's like a Jewish barber that looks like Hinkle, and they end up switching places at one point in time. But like in Mad Max, he's kind of upset and then pissed off, and then in the last 10 minutes of the movie, he's mad.
Yeah.
It's sort of like
Mad
that.
Max.
But like they don't really do any of the switching kind of stuff till like the end of the film. It's all story and build up to that. And it's all like Nazi bashing before that. But it's done in a clever, witty way. So you know what he's saying without him having to be blatant about it.
And
And
I've read that a lot.
Yeah.
I've read about the film.
It's really good. But like I think The General isn't my favorite Buster Keaton film, but it's considered like his best. So that's why I was like, we should do this one. I personally love Sherlock Jr., which is a film where he's a movie projectionist, and he dreams about being like a detective. It's actually incredible. Like the editing, the acting. There's a trick in that movie that he does that I believe his father created in vaudeville, and I still don't know how the hell they did it.
Wow.
He like jumps through a dude, and the dude like walks away. It's incredible.
Wow.
If you get a chance to check it out,
I'll
Sherlock
check that
Jr.
out.
And
It's my silent list.
and I know there's like some way that they did it, some vaudeville, trickery involved, but it's amazing to see it filmed and to not know how they did it.
That's always the best. I
Yeah.
always love wondering, like, how did
But
they do that?
He's a theater guy. He works as a projectionist.
Yeah, well,
And he just
that's
falls
fine.
asleep in daydreams and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that'd be a sick job, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So real quick, you brought up Mad Max real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll wrap this up, guys. Okay. Mad Max Fury Road. Thoughts on it?
I haven't watched it yet. I've seen the first 3.
You haven't seen Fury Road?
I've not seen Fury Road. I should because I liked Mad Max. I loved The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2.
And a lot of people consider that one of the best movies ever made.
And look, Thunderdome, R.I.P. Tina Turner.
Dude,
But
she died,
man,
what, yesterday?
Yesterday, but you know
Crazy.
what?
Rest in peace, Tina.
Look, Tina Turner's still looking great though. Even like, and obviously back then she looked fantastic, but I mean, even into her 80s, she was looking
good, man.
Her and your girl Jane Fonda must have the secret.
They got the same fountain in their backyard, man.
So
Jane.
like Thunderdome, I didn't really like as much as like The Road Warrior.
Everyone seems to love. I haven't seen Road Warrior.
Yeah,
so
Road Warrior is.
It's on my list. Everyone seems to like it. I saw some like images from it. It looks freaking great.
Yeah, and I like Tom Hardy. Charlize Theron is obviously incredible. I mean, she's my favorite African actress.
Yeah,
since she's South African.
Yes,
like that's what all white supremacists would say, right?
Yeah.
Dave Matthews is my favorite African. Yeah, he's as white as you. That's why.
Awesome.
he is. I kid. But yeah, I do need to watch it. I've seen the others though.
Okay, interesting. Because so I've only seen it one time. I saw it when it came out, and it was so buzzed, talked about crazy. It made a bunch of money. People were like, oh, it's so great. And I watched it. Now I need to watch it again because, the movie's not that old, so it's not that long ago I saw it. I remember most of it. Tell you what, I didn't think it was that great.
Okay.
And I wanted to know your opinion on it, but I want to watch it again because as it's getting older, more and more people are really considering it. I've seen it. I was looking at Rolling Stone's best action movies ever made. It was #1.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I know the prequel to it is coming out next year with your girl. Anna Taylor-Joy.
I love her.
Yeah,
She's a good actress.
I do need to check it out. I admit it. I get petty. So like I haven't watched many Chaplin films because in the 40s. Okay, I love J.D. Salinger. He wrote Catcher in the Rye,
Mm-hmm.
9 Stories, Franny and Zoe. Great writer. He went off to war. He was in World War II, right? So he carried around like the manuscript for most of Catcher in the Rye as he was writing it as he's fighting in World War II.
He was dying right
And
fire story.
And he's over in Europe and he reads in the newspaper that Charlie Chaplin married his girlfriend. Una O'Neill, the daughter of Eugene O'Neill, who was an American playwright.
That was his actual girlfriend?
Yeah, that was J.D. Salinger's girlfriend at the time. And she married Charlie Chaplin, who was
and he
almost as old as her
by
dad.
reading the freaking newspaper.
Yes. So, because I loved, and I still love J.D. Salinger and his writing, like...
You're kind of like F. Charlie Chaplin
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, so like watching, like the Gold Rush, I watched some of his other stuff. I'm actually really into his stuff now. And for the same reason, though, like George Miller was supposed to do a Justice League movie in like 2009. And it all fell apart. It was probably more Warner Brothers than him. But I'm like, F. George Miller. I'm never going to watch Happy Feet 2. I'm never going to, whatever. I'm not going to watch The Witches of Eastwick again. Anything. But I need to like thaw on that kind of thing. Because even...
So you got to watch Mad Max, though.
Yeah, I got to watch... So I have to watch Fury Road.
Maybe we'll do a Fury Road episode. And we'll both watch it.
Yeah.
Because...
Tom Hardy's great.
I love him, and he's good in the movie. The acting's good. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
I need to watch it again because the amount of attention it's gotten in recent years is making me feel like something was wrong with me when I watched it.
So, are you bringing it up because of the stunts in it?
I'm bringing it up because you brought up Mad Max.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just thinking of how like the original. It's like all these things happen, and the actual real, like the climax of the movie is only like 10 minutes, and it's sort of like the end of The Great Dictator. There's this amazing speech, but it's only like 3, maybe 4 minutes of the movie, and it's an over 2-hour movie.
Wow, The Great Dictator's over 2 hours?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 5 minutes or something.
Wow, that's probably Charlie's longest movie.
Yeah, so like, the last 10 minutes, because, there's a few minutes after the speech, but that's like the most important part of the film, but you have to get through all this story to get to like the best part of the movie. And that's sort of how the original Mad Max is.
Wow.
You have to get through like an hour and a half for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'm gonna definitely check out Charlie Chaplin's last movie he directed with Marlon Brando.
Really? You
Yeah.
directed the movie with Marlon Brando?
Yeah, it's Marlon Brando, what chick in it? It's a famous chick too.
Did it come out in like 76 or something?
I think it's a 60s movie.
Okay. Because I know he died in 77, I believe. Chaplin did. Obviously not Brando.
Yeah, Brando. Brando lived a lot longer than people probably thought he was. A Countess from Hong Kong, 1967.
Okay.
It is.
Oh my God, is that the one where Marlon Brando is like an Asian dude?
Yes.
Oh my God, I've seen part of that movie. He is so offensive just because. Have you seen Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Yes.
It's like Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. How terrible!
I hate that movie.
Oh my God, you know what? George Papard is great in it though.
Loren. That's
Oh
mm-hmm.
my God.
Yeah, it's the acting in it's good, and Breakfast at Tiffany's, it's well acted. The stories are. I love Audrey, so
yeah.
I'll watch anything with her in it, even if it's decent. Her voice just so soothing.
And look, she looks great in an LBD, a little black dress.
Oh yes, she does.
Yeah.
She looks good in the little black. She was good looking. She was kind of skinny for me, but she looked good back in the day. But I always just liked her acting style, liked her voice, But they always pinned her with these guys that were like 30 years older than her.
Think about Funny Face.
Yeah, dude,
She's
think
with
about
Fred Astaire. Sabrina, yeah, with
dude,
Bogart.
She gets with freaking Bogart's
Yeah.
easily like 63 3 in that movie. And
Yeah.
she's like 24.
Yeah,
Like,
it's terrible.
It's crazy. I'm like, that's a gap, bro.
Yeah, but look at, we talked about Vertigo. Jimmy Stewart was
Jimmy
older
Stewart
than...
was way older than Kim Novak.
yeah.
At least 25, 30 years.
and they had just starred in, or which was first, Vertigo or Bell, Book, and Candle? Because they were in that together too.
I'm not sure. I never watched that.
It's
Is that good?
yeah, it's pretty good. It's sort of like a blueprint for the show Bewitched.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's cute little
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe she like. But
yeah,
the crazy thing about Vertigo is like that age gap and that casting was a big part of the negative reviews early on, and that movie actually kind of severed Jimmy Stewart and Hitchcock's relationship
oh wow,
because Jimmy Stewart was like what, late 50s then,
yeah, I think so.
and he had lost most of his hair. He wore a hairpiece, a lot of makeup, and he tried to keep himself young. And obviously, I think Jimmy Stewart played the hell out of the role.
Oh, he did.
And,
yeah,
of course, looking at it now, it's like, everything's perfect. But a lot of people were just like, we are unconvinced that this man could ever in his life attract this woman. And I'm like, bro, y'all sit here and act like younger chicks don't go for older guys who are established in life all the time.
It's security.
Yeah, I'm like, they do it all the time.
Yes.
I'm like, how many guys I know in their 50s and their wives are in their early 30s? Tons. I'm like, I've met tons of guys. They're old, but their wife ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so
look at DiCaprio.
Yeah, bro. When he finally decides to settle, his wife will be. She'll be young.
She was just born yesterday.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was a big thing, and like that was a big part of like why the movie wasn't as well received as it is now.
Wow.
And Hitchcock and Stewart got into it about that, and that was when he kind of started pivoting to Cary Grant more.
Oh.
So. Yeah, and looking back on it, years later, Stewart's probably like, yeah, now Vertigo is considered your best movie. But it's nuts how this stuff works out. But guys, we're right at a good time mark here.
Oh, yes.
We've been keeping you long, but you like hanging out with us. But next week we're skipping next week. You're gonna get episodes in order, but we don't know what we're going to do next week. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So sorry we can't give you a little preview, but it's going to be something good, so don't worry.
I do have an idea, though.
Okay, throw it out there.
Because you know what comes out next week?
Flash.
No.
No.
That's in 3 weeks.
That's July or June. Late June. That's right. Next week.
We've been waiting for it since October.
Oh, freaking Spider-Man.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So, what we can do is... probably not next week, but like the week after, we can actually like analyze that film
versus Enter.
Yes, and also compared to like the other Spider-Man movies.
Actions.
Yeah, because obviously, Into the Spider-Verse was a better film.
It's insane
than probably any other
movie.
Yeah, so we could actually just do that as like a rough blueprint.
That sounds good, man.
Yes.
Any reason to watch Enter the Spider-Verse is good for me. Because that film is great. I don't know anyone who doesn't like that movie. They're making Miles Morales Jordans, they look crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. So,
wow.
Guy I know, he's like, I'm buying them. I don't care how much they are. I'm like, go ahead, you spend $200, $300 on a pair of sneakers. No problem.
Hey, just really quick, here's the weird thing about Spider-Man, whether it's Peter Parker or Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Parker has an Uncle Ben who's white. Okay? Uncle Ben is white, yet we know Uncle Ben
made rice.
Rice, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Miles Morales' dad, do you know his dad's name?
No.
Jefferson Davis. Who was the president of the Confederacy?
Who did somebody
like what?
Did this? Somebody was playing jokes.
So yeah, so like what? Yeah, what? That's the most confusing thing about Spider-Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I know, it's weird. When it hit me, I was like, wait, what? Jefferson Davis.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Jeff Davis, man. Hey.
Wow.
Some people consider him an icon.
Oh. Only if it's Miles Morales' dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, ugh. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just had to point that out.
That's
it's so
just
weird.
funny, though.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Dom,
I'm Jamie.
and this was the Cutting Room Floor, and we'll be back next week.